Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Make Life Less Taxing podcast, the show where we uncover what really creates freedom in life and business, and we'll explore stories of those who've learned how to build wealth with purpose.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Make Life Less Taxing podcast, the show where we go beyond the numbers, graphs, spreadsheets, and tax returns to talk about what really creates freedom in life and in business. And not just financial freedom, but emotional, spiritual, and relationship freedom too. Today's guest, Mario Payne, he's a veteran, certified financial planner, a business owner, and a financial innovator who's not just building wealth, he's redefining how it's done. Mario is the founder of the Thomas Financial, and he's also a man on a mission, not just to grow wealth, but to restore confidence, trust, and freedom in the community he serves. Mario, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Another beautiful day in Jacksonville.
Awesome. Hey, listen, it's great to have you here. So to get us started, can you just share with our listeners in kind of who you are and the work that you do right now?
Yeah, also, so Mario Payne, I'm a certified financial planner based here in Jacksonville, Florida. And we help people by decreasing their tax liability and increasing their net worth. Now, most financial advisors and most certified financial planners, they lean into investing through stocks, bonds, mutual funds. How we run our practice is totally different, but in a positive way. So we lean in from a tax standpoint. Yes, I'm a certified financial planner. So of course we help people with stocks, but we want you to decrease your tax liability. So our conversations are more on the lines of not just investing, but how can we create tax strategies to decrease your tax liability? We have CPAs that work for us, external CPA firms that do the taxes for us. So we basically lean in from a tax standpoint because the thought process is if you save more money in your taxes, that's going to increase your net worth. Financial advisors tell you to, invest in stocks and mutual funds, and we do as well. However, the quickest way to wealth from a tax standpoint is through real estate. But most financial advisors, they actually do not recommend that because it takes money out of their pocket, right? If I'm a financial advisor, you got $100,000 in a money market account. If you invest into an asset like a stock, I get paid. If you invest in real estate, I don't get paid. So I don't recommend that. But how we run our practice is different. We actually lean into the tax savings of real estate because if we're doing what's right for our clients, we get paid eventually, somehow, some way. So that's what we do as a certified financial planner, and that's why how we run our practice is different. And that's why we have thousands of clients worldwide.
That's a great story. And when it comes down to leaning in with the tax first, again, name of our podcast, Make Life Less Taxing, right? So listen, Mario, you have a very powerful backstory. How did you really go from serving in the Army and being a veteran to becoming a financial advisor?
Yeah, great question. And for all my troops out there, hoorah! One of the best decisions I made was joining the military. And actually that's why I'm alive today. I mean, so just a quick story. I was a reservist. Then I got activated in 2003 when the war started, and I sprained my ankle playing basketball. I thought I was Michael Jordan. I sprained my ankle overseas. So we was in Kuwait. All the troops was fighting in Iraq. I'm a lover, not a fighter. So my job in the military was finances. So was not doing any fighting. But when I sprained my ankle, they did a CAT scan on my body. They found a blood clot. And basically the doctor said if they didn't discover that, I would have probably died in 48 to 72 hours. So literally that's why I know God is real and God is here for a reason. Like God blessed me to help people tax wise, because if I didn't sprain my ankle trying to be like Michael Jordan, I wouldn't be here today because I didn't know how to blood clot. So so the military, something I'm ever indebted of. So from there, because again, I did the military while I was in college. When I graduated college, I got a job at General Electric. And GE did great for me because in school, I was an intern for them. They helped pay for everything throughout my 4 years of college. And when I got hired, my first job was to do financial analysis. And I ended up saving General Electric $4 million over 6 months. Wow. Now, back in 2025, $4 million is more like 16 million today with inflation, right? So a lot of money. Yeah. Do you know what they gave me? Take a guess. What did they give me for saving them $4 million.
You're pitching at the end of the week? Probably not much. I don't know. I'm just guessing that.
No, I didn't get a promotion. I didn't get a raise. I didn't get recognition on their quasi website. I got a pizza party. And I don't even eat pizza.
So you were one above the paycheck. So
yeah, right. Yeah. I don't even eat pizza, and they gave me a pizza party. So right then and there, I made a decision. If I can find ways to save people money or make people money, how can I do it that helps out the everyday people, not the big business that does not care about you? So right then and there, I applied for 2 companies because I was a finance major in college, Edward Jones and A.G. Edwards. Perfectly enough, I got hired at Edward Jones in 2006. A.G. Edwards then went out of business in 2008 during the Great Recession, if you can all remember. And the rest is history. I worked for Edward Jones between 2007 and 2013 as a financial advisor. And then when I became a certified financial planner in 2013, I started my own practice, and the rest is history.
It's a great story. Hey, listen, appreciate your time and service that you have that you have gone and put in there, and really appreciate that. And that's a great story. And again, I always love to hear how advisors kind of became advisors, and everybody's story is different. So yours is definitely unique. Now, what would you say was kind of the turning point when you realized that, you know what, the financial business, and you got a long history kind of around finance, that it's more than just about numbers, right? And what is it? How do you actually kind of go and serve your clients and empower them, right? Because at the end of the day, I tell advisors, listen, this is not about numbers. This is more about building relationships, right? So, what would you kind of what is your view on that?
Storytelling. Every single day, I am telling stories about, just like we say, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. I'm always telling stories about the past to equip our clients about the future. Those stories are, I had this situation. Well, we had a client that had the same situation. How did we help them? What decisions did they make that they should have not made? What decisions that they make that they should have made? So we kind of go through storytelling. Through there, we do planning. I am a certified financial planner. Everybody who walks through the door, doesn't matter if you have 100,000 to invest or 10 million to invest, we're doing a financial plan. We are systematically seeing where you're at, what areas of opportunities we can help, and how you can scale your finances. And from that financial planning, that's what kind of birthed, the tax, the leaning in from a tax standpoint. Because up to about 5 years ago, we was helping people investment wise, but we wasn't leaning into the taxes. And it was times where I referred people to a CPA. I have 2 CPAs I was referring people to. One of them now works for me, and we have another one we hired, and when that works with me, not for me. But it's just like, man, like we gave them advice, gave them strategies, and they wasn't doing it. It's like, man, like you're leaving so much money on the table, but I can't help you because that's not the core of my business. So then from there, we kind of leaned into the tax standpoint. So how can we see where you are, create a financial plan, and from that financial plan, implement things, right? If you're a business owner, why are you a sole proprietor? LLC. Where can we get to the certain income to now go from an LLC to an S corporation? So now that we can have salary and distribution, right? So if we have salary and distribution, now with the profits of our business, does not tax that 15.3% like an LLC or sole proprietorship. Once we got into those conversations, more referrals, more people pick up the phone for allowing us to help, and then kind of it just grew from there. Then of course we launched our fund on the stock market, symbol LETB. That helped as well. But I think leaning in with people, not just numbers wise, but a story and a story behind how they can reduce their taxes, that went a long way in the growth that we have today.
Yeah, no, that's you got a great point. Often what I hear from advisors when we start talking about taxes, when they talk about a CPA or an accountant, they're more of what we call an archaeologist, right? They go back in time. They worry about compliance. They don't really do any proactive planning kind of moving forward, right? Hey, let's figure out how to save money in the future, not just go in compliance and pay your taxes, right? And most of them, unfortunately, give the advice like, hey, listen, what are you complaining about? You made $1 million, so you got to pay $300,000, $400,000 in taxes. you know what, we can't do anything about it. That's kind of not the type of planning that
Yeah.
somebody wants to hear, especially when you're a business owner, right? So,
Yeah, and it's a difference. If I can interject, it's a difference, and we always just want to pinpoint this out. A tax strategist and a CPA or a tax preparer are two different things. To your point, Daniel, a tax strategist, they're seeing how can we identify opportunities for you to decrease your tax liability, and he or she gets compensated for you doing that. A tax preparer or CPA, they get paid the same amount of money if you owe money or get a refund, which is basically the IRS giving you your money back. It's not like you made extra money with a refund, you're just getting your money back. But they don't get compensated for saving you money. And to be honest, most CPAs, they don't want to go through the tax strategy process because if they do all the work and you don't save any extra money, your client's going to be like, well, why are you charging me what you charged me when you didn't save me any money? So they kind of get out of that whole conversation. So if you don't have a tax strategist, you are shooting yourself in your financial foot because you're missing out on so many ways to reduce your taxes, which will eventually increase your net worth.
Yeah, you brought up a great point when it comes down to listen, I'm a recovering CFP myself, so I understand what you have gone through. But so many times when I met with people, they were so happy to get a tax refund, and I'm like going, by the way, do you know you're just getting your money back? Like you lent money to the government, interest free for a whole year, and now you're just getting it back, and you're like celebrating as if you won the lottery. And most of them don't kind of understand that point, that it's often their own money that they're getting back if they do have a refund. Right.
Yeah.
So listen, what kind of clients, who's kind of the right client for you that you're serving right now? What do they kind of look like?
Yeah. So a few sets. So number one, W-2 employee who is making $100,000 a year or more. So from a tax standpoint, really not a lot you can do, as a W-2 employee. Now, yes, we can max out our 401k, we can do our HSA, but the tax code was not created for W-2 employees. It really was created, in my humble opinion, for business owners. So if you make more than $100,000 a year as a W-2 employee, we talk about why we should use the knowledge we got from our corporate job and do some type of coaching or consulting work or some type of gig job. So now we can now have that 1099 and then take advantage of the tax code to our advantage. So if you're a W-2 employee making $100,000 plus, that's kind of like how we can help. If we are a business owner making $75,000 or more, we're able to help more than making less than $75,000 because again, those advanced tax strategies like doing the S corp, putting your kids on payroll, doing the QBI, doing the Augusta rule, all those types of advanced planning we do for business owners that make $75,000 or more, or from an investment standpoint, you have a net worth of $250,000 or more. So over $250,000, we can put into our investment strategies that have done very well this year and years past. So like that's kind of our niche.
That's great. Now you've mentioned faith. How does that really shape the way that you do business? Because there is a bit of a difference if you kind of believe in God and you have a different point of view. How does that really shape what you do and how you operate?
Oh, it's to the core. You can't see this, but the name of my firm, my investment firm, is called Tomes Financial. It stands for tithe, offering, alms, which means giving glory to God, means stewardship. So if I'm being a good steward of your money, if me and my staff are being good stewards of your money, prayerfully you'll be able to tithe more, offer more, and give glory to God. And I think my gift from a glory standpoint is finances. So it's the rock of our practice. I was always a Christian. Got baptized. I was in the youth choir. I was an usher, so I definitely was raised in the church. But like I said, after spraining my ankle and then having that news that I could have died in 48 to 72 hours of that blood clot, like I was like, the Lord put me here for a reason, and what can I do to edify Him and help people where I'm here on earth? So it's huge. When we have meetings with clients, I close out in prayer. I have mentees, I have coaching calls. The first Wednesday and third Wednesday, it's the first, third, last Wednesday of the month, and then every other Monday, I lead out in prayer. I talk about the Lord a lot. When you see my Instagram stuff, I kind of lead into a biblical story and kind of how that equates to finance. My business coach, Myron Golden, I love him because he leads in from a biblical standpoint when it comes to making money. So yeah, so the Lord and what He's given me and the knowledge that He's given me, I definitely like to share, let people know that it is God. God is real. God is in all of us. So it's a huge part of my business.
You bring a great point, and really when it comes down to faith, often is is on part difficult to wear on your sleeve, and sometimes it's very easy. It just all depends on the decision that you make and how you go and put that forward. So I know you already touched on it, and I know right now you kind of went a little bit detail, but let's dive a little bit deeper, because the conversation you and I are having is quite different often what I'm having with advisors. What really makes your approach at a kind of a whole nother deeper level? And I do know about Myron Golden. I love listening to his teachings and everything. So when you're looking at how you approach working with your clients, how is that really different from the traditional advisor? And I know you already mentioned that a little bit, but let's kind of go another layer beyond that.
Yeah,
How would you
yeah.
describe what it is that you do?
Yeah, totally different. And I have a lot of friends that are financial advisors. So if y'all watching this, I still love y'all, right? But a financial advisor or even a certified financial planner, they get compensated on assets, right? So we have what you call AUM, right? So that's our assets under management. The more assets that we are managing, the more that we're compensated, right? That's just kind of human nature, right? So from a compensation standpoint, a financial advisor, he or she knows if they refer you to invest in the stock market through them, they're going to make money. Compared to if they refer you to invest that money anywhere else, they're going to lose out on that money. Now, yes, you might be happy with them because they referred you somewhere else, but they're not being compensated. And this is financial advisors, like we know, like one bad decision or one mistake, 20 years of helping you and making you become happy, you can ACAT that paperwork and go somewhere else at the drop of a dime, right? So financial advisors are a lot safer, even from an investment standpoint. You don't see a lot of financial advisors invest clients' money like they invest their own portfolios. Most financial advisors are a lot more aggressive with their own portfolios than their clients because it's a lot easier to lose a client than it is to gain a client, right? So because we lean in from a real estate standpoint, from a tax saving standpoint, it gives us a huge area of opportunity that other financial advisors are doing. So when we first sit down through the financial plan, we have a form. In the form, and again, you guys can go, you go to wealthandwellnessiq.com, because we have a wealth and wellness text, because if you're wealthy and you're healthy, wealth and wellness, right? But on that form, we talk about your investment portfolio, but we dive deep into, do you have property? Do you want to start a business? Are you concerned with your tax liability? As if we're the ones filing your taxes. And if you want us to do it with our internal CPAs and our external CPA firm, we do. But because we lean in from not just, hey, let me invest your money, you're doing a bad job, your 401k is down, you should do better with us, leaning into how can we help you today reduce what you are giving the IRS? Everybody knows or thinks they know they can do a better job with decreasing their taxes, but they don't know who to turn to, and they probably have bad experiences with CPAs. They think the CPAs are overcharging them, or they're still overpaying, or still paying Uncle Sam with that CPA. So by us leaning in, and because of me being a CFP, right, it kind of gives us credibility. And because we have those questions, then they say yes, help. And then from there, it's just a whole litany of things, right? We have a separate onboarding call just going over taxes. What do you want to do? Get a copy of your tax return. We have our internal CPAs review your tax return, and then we create a tax strategy. So your tax strategy aligns with your financial plan. And then after that tax strategy, we have a whole software where we implement that tax strategy. So we're not just saying, hey, you do X, Y, Z, but if you're, for instance, want to do the Augusta rule, right, where your business is able to rent off your house for 14 days out the year. Well, from a documentation standpoint, you can't just do that. You have to have things done in place. You have to have a board of directors. We actually create the documentation for your board of directors so you're compliant with IRS. You need to have meeting minutes. Every single time you meet and have that meeting, you have to have minutes. What did y'all talk about? Did y'all order food? We have all that documentation, and it's systematically done when you're supposed to do it. Sent that to you via DocuSign. You sign the paperwork, it gets uploaded back into your client portal. So we have the documentation to keep you compliant so that all the strategies that we provide, you're able to justify those from a tax standpoint. And in closing, if you want us to help file your taxes, we do, and we don't charge. We have everything merit-based. So we actually don't make money with your tax plans unless we actually save you money compared to the year before. So it's merit-based. Most CPAs, they charge a flat fee. If you save money, don't save money, overpay, get a refund. We don't make any money unless we save you from a tax saving standpoint because of the tax strategies we've implemented.
Yeah, listen, the message, what I'm hearing from you is the tax first, right? The tax first message, where often you can find a lot of inefficiencies and a lot of money when it comes down to the amount of taxes that people pay. And in the US, there are two tax systems, right? One for the informed and one for the uninformed. So I think that's really what it comes down to now. I might be already answering this question, but I'm going to ask it this way. You mentioned Myron Golden. He's got an awesome YouTube channel. I watch it all. He's got several of them now that he's teaching biblical principles. Not going to go into this, but I love the one where he was talking about that there was gold inside of the garden and the reason and purpose of that. I love that story. But you know what? You have a YouTube channel, Painful Profits, an interesting name. And I know there was a bit of a twist on it with your name, but what really inspired that?
So it's my way to basically give pro bono work, right? So in the tax code, right? If I give free advice or I do something, I can't write that off, right? You can't write off pro bono work, right? So like, how is it a way that I can, for people that don't meet my investment minimums, but want the value that I provide, how can I give that at no cost and add value? And that went a YouTube channel. And then of course, everything that goes involved, the equipment, the cameras, the TV, the lights, this beautiful studio, my beautiful studio at my house, everything I bought is a write-off because of course I've been blessed to have people reach out to me from the YouTube channel and compensate me for my time by helping them. So it's a way for me to basically give back at no cost. It's free to go on YouTube. Even if you don't have YouTube Premium, you might have to see an ad here or there, but it's free from a YouTube standpoint. So it just allows me to basically give out information. And can I just say one more thing, because I just want to kind of circle back again from a financial advisor standpoint, because I'm not here to bash financial advisors. I'm a financial advisor. I'm a certified financial planner. Another thing to think about though, if I have assets, by me investing some of those assets in real estate by itself, historically speaking, now again, past performance does not guarantee future results. Real estate by itself does not outperform the stock market. Let's be clear. Stocks on average do better than real estate. But what real estate does that stocks don't do is decrease your tax liability. For example, I got $100,000. I put $100,000 into a mutual fund or in stocks, there's no write-off there. If I did $100,000 in real estate, if it's through my LLC or through my S Corp, and I do a cost segregation study, or if it's an Airbnb, I'm active participation, that means I get to accelerate that depreciation. That $100,000 property that I bought, even though I didn't spend $100,000, let's say it was a $100,000 property, I put $10,000 down. I'm able to get all $100,000 depreciation of a write-off in between 1 year to 5 years. So if I make $200,000 and I buy a $100,000 property, I instantly go from being taxed $200,000 to being taxed $100,000 by buying real estate. That grows and gives cash flow. Compared to if I bought that $100,000 with mutual funds and stocks by themselves, I'm still taxed on $200,000. So at the end of the year, me being taxed on $200,000 is a lot more money out of my pocket than $100,000. So that's why we lean in the taxes, because we still want your money to grow appreciation-wise. But how about we appreciate it with tangible assets like real estate and have you get all the tax deductions that you're not able to get with investing? So from a client standpoint, I would say for every client, they may have 40, 50% in stocks, and then the other 40, 50% in real estate, and the other 20% in crypto, which we can talk about because that is the future in my opinion. So we just don't do stocks and bonds. I know I circled back, but just kind of want to just give a clear example for the audience. why a financial planner leaning into real estate from a tax standpoint is going to help you now and in the future from a wealth standpoint.
Yeah, we got a partner, and I love the way tax partner, that the way he explains when it comes down to the tax code. He says, you know what? I mean, I don't know how many thousands of pages it is, but he says, hey, listen, they're kind of like two lights. There is the red lights and there is the green lights, right? So there is the stop lights. Those are the things that most CPAs, and that's all of the compliance, just making sure that, hey, you're paying the amount of tax that you're supposed to pay. They're preparing taxes on it. But that's really the traditional CPA and accountant, what they do. Where the real opportunities are, and this is what you're talking about real estate. It's one of the goal lights, right? It's one of the things that now it allows you to actually explore and gain some of the taxes back, because the way that you structure. When I was an advisor, one of the stories that I was always telling people, that taxes is actually the greatest liability that can become the greatest asset that you actually have, because there are ways how to take your liability, your asset, and turn it into an asset, right? So liability and take it and turn it into asset comes down to one of the things that kind of ruined my financial career was reading a little book. You probably heard about it, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And after I got my CFP designation, it was telling me that, Daniel, your house is the biggest liability that you have. And I'm like, dude, that's not what my CFP is telling me. They're telling me that the house is the biggest asset. So there's a bit of that shift when it comes down to kind of where you are and how you operate. So that's kind of what I'm sensing from you. You're kind of focusing on the tax, and you're saying, hey, listen, maybe everything that you ever learned is not so. It's not true. And there's maybe some things that you need to rethink how you're looking at it, especially when it comes down to your finances.
Yeah, you're correct, Daniel. It's a whole mindset shift, right? Because to your point, even for me, like, I'm always honest. Financial advisors make mistakes. Certified financial planners. I'm SEC registered. I manage hundreds of millions of dollars of assets. I make mistakes. For years, I was talking about no debt. I mean, to the point I was a Dave Ramsey smart investor for 6 years. You go into his website, pick Jacksonville. I'm on there as being recommended by Dave Ramsey, right? I was a Dave Ramsey smart investor. And for years, I talked about having debt was bad. And as you evolve, as you learn, as you just grow in your profession, you learn that sometimes that was bad advice. Sometimes I talk clients out of buying a house because they was going to do it with debt, right? Use some cash to do it, which is now looking back at it, horrible. Like it's OPM, other people's money, every day, all day. Like you leverage. Now it's good debt and bad debt. I'm not saying go to Saks Fifth and Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Prada and everywhere else to blow money. I ain't saying that. But good debt is in real estate, right? Good debt is in investing in the business because it's a tax deduction. Good debt is getting a coach or a mentor. That's a tax deduction. Like that's good debt. So using good debt and leveraging other people's money. Because if you pay something in cash, that cash is gone. Like you gotta, you're more apt to make a mistake because you kind of need to make that money back. But if it's, a loan, like you have time, you get to go through the bumps of the road and you don't have this feeling where you got to make the money back because it's for the long term. So yeah, so I made mistakes in the past. I told people not to, good debt and bad debt, and all debt was bad debt. But like the road of Damascus, when Saul turned into Paul, right? I had that moment, and yeah, we definitely recommend that people use that. As much debt as you can, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If it's good
Again,
debt.
it's all about structuring, right? It's how it's structured and what is the purpose for it. So I 100% agree with you. Unfortunately, I tend to look at the world kind of from two perspectives. There is the world, call it the red world, the world of scarcity, and then there's the blue world, the world of abundance. And there are different rules in the world. And you cannot use the rules of scarcity in the world of abundance. It doesn't work. And we can see that people winning lottery, within 5 years, like 80-90% of them are more broke than they were before. I mean, I don't know, how do you go from broke winning the lottery and being more broke, but that's a whole nother thing. So there's definitely that. And going back to what you've mentioned, it's all about the mindset. It's all about how somebody looks at their situation and how they view that.
Yeah, very, very true. Now, my mindset's big. That's why I recommend coaching. Of course, we have a coaching program. For clients of ours, that coaching program is no cost. For people that maybe don't meet our minimum but want more than what they see me on Facebook, they can be a part of our coaching. It's only $97 a month, so it's not like thousands of dollars a year. we just kind of just coach people, right? Coach people how to grow your finance. We have different speakers, different people to grow your business, how to grow your finances, people that want to get into the lending process. What does that look like? Interest rates, are going down. Made the announcement, the Fed did it going down. So last month we had one of the largest business funders. That group has funded over $50 million in business funding this year by itself. Like we did a whole coaching call on, the do's and don'ts of getting, getting loans, right? Because what happens is that when interest rates go down, you're going to get a lot of those credit card offers in the mail, and the devil's in the details, right? So kind of going over, what's good debt, what's bad debt, why should we get this debt, why not, and kind of educating people from a coaching standpoint. So yeah, it's a huge mindset shift, which for me helped me grow my business dramatically.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to reference Myron Golden again, and I love the presentation that he has when he talks about what is the biggest expense somebody has is not knowing. Like it's already costing you not knowing how to do something, right? And often
Yeah.
people think, oh, I already know. It's like, no, knowing and not doing is not knowing, right? And lack of knowledge, right, is really probably the biggest challenge that people have, which actually brings me to the next question that I have for you. You have worked with hundreds of clients. What are you seeing right now that most people are kind of struggling with most when it comes to wealth, building wealth or preserving wealth? What kind of, what is that?
Yeah, so actually, it's funny you asked that because we kind of see two different things, right? First off, it's the scarcity of AI. Like, is especially for people that is employed, is AI going to take away my job? And if so, do I have enough? Not even to retire, right? So if I'm like 40, 45 years old, I'm 43, right? So people in my age group, like if AI takes my job, do I have enough to basically retrain myself? Uh, Go get educated on automation of AI. Like, what can I do to make sure if it takes my job and I'm at the workforce for 2 or 3 years to get retrained, do I have enough? We never, I've been in business for 18 years. I started in 2007. Never had those types of conversations until basically this year. So like that's one train of thought. And the other train of thought, because the market is doing so well this year, our portfolios are just going up dramatically, is the euphoria. And that actually kind of has me a little bit, I don't know what's going on, right? The last time we had euphoria like this was basically mid to late 2021 when all the COVID stocks was exploding. We had Zoom and Pinterest and everything up by, 100, 200, 300%. And, you could throw something at the wall and it's up like crazy. Square being up by 100, 200%, DocuSign. And then when they started raising interest rates in 2022, it all went down. Now, of course, we're lowering interest rates. So historically, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. But historically, when the Fed lowers interest rates, 12 months after the market historically outperforms its average. So historically, we're probably going to have a better market, this time next year. But my fear is that the euphoria is so here, whenever the market comes down, maybe not crashing down, when it comes down, those people that are so euphoric about these stocks buying high, they might have a rude awakening because they're not properly diversified. So I know that's like two answers. I'm like a politician with two answers, but yeah.
No, it's great. Again, listen, I think the biggest thing and what I'm getting from you and the advice that I'm hearing from you is like, hey, just go and talk to somebody, right? Like contact with somebody. There's so many people that think, oh, I can do this myself. And it's not that you can't, but again, what's really hurting you the most is not knowing something. And there are so many different strategies and things. Like I said, when I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad, here I was, CFP, got my designation. And then I'm like going, hang on, this doesn't really make sense, right? From the perspective of, and at that time, this goes back to 2014, I kind of looked at everything more from the perspective going, hang on, there was so much time and effort that's spent into save, kind of. And listen, I love Dave Ramsey. I like his message. I think there were some things that I don't necessarily agree with him, but it was like rice and beans. And I said, hey, what if we, instead of putting all of that energy into save, and now start looking at into, hey, what can I create? And I think right now, when you brought it up with AI, I personally believe that we live in the greatest time ever. And there is a huge opportunity in the next 1 or 2 years where people can go and really tap into AI. And instead of being there scared, oh, am I going to lose my job? As right now, actually, do you know what's the #1 job on LinkedIn right now?
Uh, Automation specialists?
Yeah, it's actually prompt engineering. There are companies that are literally
Mm.
paying somebody $200,000, $300,000. They don't care if you've got a college, even high school, as long as you know how to use prompt engineering, they will hire you right there on the spot. So there's kind of that hot market, but that's the number one job right now around AI on LinkedIn. Like you said, AI has not been around. It's been around for the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, it's been around for longer, but really what ChatGPT and all of these applications are doing. And my advice to everybody is like, listen, you may not be replaced by AI, but you're definitely going to be replaced by somebody that knows how to use it. So don't kind of put
Yes.
your head in the sand and saying like, hey, you know what? It's something I don't want to do. It's here to stay.
Yeah.
I remember funny story with my dad. They brought a computer. We're talking back in 80s and 90s when computers first came in, and they put a computer in his office, and he says, "It's either the computer in there or me. You take a pick. I ain't touching it." And I always kind of laugh at that because a lot of people are kind of technology, hey, you know what, scared of that. But with AI,
Yeah.
it's moving so fast that if you're not in it, I've been
Oh,
using it for the last 2 years myself, and I was speaking to my business partner. I'm like going, if suddenly we lost AI, I'd probably just sit here in the chair and I would not even know what to do anymore, because it's just becoming
yeah.
so much part of what we're doing and how we're operating, right? So I think that's the one thing that that people need to do. But when it comes down to looking at the
Yeah.
financial industry and everything that you're doing, what's the one belief that you hold around wealth or success that you think that most people in our industry, other advisors, don't really talk about? And I know you kind of mentioned real estate, but is there anything outside of that you kind of feel that more advisors need to talk about?
Yeah. So from an advisory standpoint, real estate and taxes, a financial advisor or a certified financial planner like myself, they can scale their business and add a lot more value to their clients if they lean into real estate. Also, shameless plug, but we have my AI powered estate planning platform, the Relax Estate. About 4 years ago, we launched that from, again, my experience. 14 years before I started my platform, we referred 153 different families to 3 different estate attorneys. I got 13 referrals back. Daniel, how can you run a business getting one referral a year? You can't. So I was like, how is it a way that we can use automation, AI, and legal documents by attorneys to basically have financial advisors license the software and have their clients do it and then get paid? So that's why I started that platform. So from there, we've seen hundreds of financial advisors, insurance agents, and tax professionals use our platform, have their clients get a trust will power of attorney, and they get paid. So they're adding value. So when you add value to your clients, what happens? You get more referrals. So they're getting more referrals. They're bringing in an extra stream of income through the estate planning. But number three, which is the biggest thing, they're bringing in more assets
Hmm.
because the value that they're adding and the referrals that they're getting, more people are using their services. I talked to a CPA in California. She was with our platform for about 2.5 years. 2.5 years ago, she had about 120 clients. Now she has 500, and she equates almost all that growth to the estate planning, where all her clients referred her out that was not referring before because she did something that other CPAs didn't do. So she's having now way more people use her service to the point where she hired 2 more people, 2 bookkeepers, right? And she's actually thinking about doing like a whole separate bookkeeping company because of that demand. She would have had that demand if
Wow.
not was for the referrals that she got from doing the estate planning. So I think real estate, but then also to grow your business and help add value, because Nielsen did a study back in 2021. Out of 100 people, 92% of people would rather go to the dentist and get their teeth pulled than meet with an estate attorney because they think that they're going to rip them off. They're in a 3-piece suit with their cufflinks on, right? When you pick up the phone and call, they're going to charge you a 15-minute retainer. If you need documents, they're going to charge you $250 to print out documents. They overcharge you for everything. So they rather just say, when I die, I let my family deal with it in their head. But in their heart, they're like, I need somebody to help me. But they don't trust nobody.
Yeah.
They trust their financial advisor. He or she has their financial picture in their hands. They're letting you decide when to take your Social Security, when to get into the market, when to get out the market, when to retire. So if you're deciding all that, of course they're going to say, yes, help me create a trust will and power of attorney. So I think leaning into estate planning, especially through AI with legal documentation from attorneys, so you don't need no legal advice to do it. I think that's another way to scale your business and grow.
Well, that's a great point when it comes down to it, and kind of leads to the next thing. Let's fast forward a little bit, and this is going to be kind of a two-part question that are the same. What's next for you and your business? And also, if you could kind of wave a magic wand and create your dream, your dream impact, what would that look like for you and for your clients that you serve?
Yeah, so again, after that pizza party fiasco, I told myself, I wanted to create 100 new millionaires. Like that was my first goal, and I thought it was going to take me about 30 years. So I'm like, okay, if it takes me three, because back then money is different than now, right? Because of inflation, right? So so if I had like three new people every year that I created millionaires over 30 years, I would do my deed. And we're definitely on the path to do that a lot quicker than 30 years. I've been in business for 18 years, prayerfully, in the next year that'll happen actually. So like that was my goal. That was my initial goal because of course, when people create wealth that's generational, they're able to pass it down to the family. They're able to pass it down to the family. Lives are being changed. I think a lot of the violence here in America is because of lack of assets. When people have money, they usually don't do crazy things, right? They don't steal, rob, kill. They don't do those crazy things when they have money. So if generational wealth is given to the next generation and the financial literacy on top of that, because when you have money passed down, usually you have some type of knowledge of what to do with the money, right? Unless you're a trust fund baby with all the money, then you don't care, you blow through it all. But by doing that, this is going to help the world be a better place. So like that's kind of my goal, and so yeah, I'm hoping the next 10 to 15 years, we're gonna make maybe 300 or 400 millionaires instead of 100 millionaires, especially with inflation as things go up. That's on that end. And then the other question, where do I see myself in 5 years? We want to get to 5,000 subscribers with our estate planning platform, the Relax Estate. 1,000 subscribers down, 4,000 to go. So I'm pretty confident we'll get there. That's going to then keep more money in people's pocket when they pass away, not going through probate, not going through attorney costs from a retainer standpoint. So that's going to help people dramatically. And then also from an investment standpoint, we continue to grow these portfolios, reduce people's tax liability, and increase their net worth.
Well, it's a great message and great mission. I appreciate you, sharing what you want to do and what the goal is. 300 millionaires. That's a great, a great mission that you have as far as what you're doing. So and really see the passion that you kind of have for this business. Listen, as we wrap up here, let's shift kind of gears into a few. I usually do these rapid fire questions. So just kind of, I'm going to ask a question, and what's the first that comes to your mind? Just kind of go and answer it. There's about 4 or 5 of these questions. So what's the one book you think everyone should read?
Oh, I'm going to be biased. My book, The Relaxed Investor, it is a best-selling book. But besides that, though, the Bible. I mean, so the Bible, it's funny, right? So like maybe not the New King Version, because of course, that's like so maybe like the NIV version, right? But it's just so much information in the Bible from a business standpoint, but then also just motivation, right? Like when you read the Bible, you read these stories, it just does something to your soul. It just makes you feel better. It makes you feel more positive. So without my book, I would say the Bible. I know that's cliche.
No, listen, it's good. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You got to go and share what you're sharing. I mean, that's the reason why people are, working with you. And I appreciate you mentioning Bible. Yeah, I mean, that's right there on the top.
Yeah,
So
but and I would also say from a entertainment standpoint, a book that I read that just kind of gave me a lot of like confidence. It was 50 Cent, the rapper, Get Rich or Die Trying. I read that book kind of going through my part of starting to be a financial advisor, kind of a lot of motivational now. Of course, his Get Rich or Die Trying was different than what you should do, but definitely just like the sure fortitude of, hey, I'm in this situation. I'm going to do whatever I can to make my situation better and better my family. That's a great book. And hey, I mean, he's almost a billionaire now, so he did something.
doing something right. What's a bucket list item that you haven't done yet?
Africa. I've not been to Africa. I've been to every single continent besides Antarctica, but Africa. So yeah, we plan on going to Africa next year, and preferably actually buying a house in Africa. We got introduced to an investment opportunity. Is a developer based in the U.S. that's doing a development in
Mm.
Ghana. And prayerfully we'll be able to be a part of that in a small way. We ain't doing no development, but in a
Yeah.
small way. So that's my bucket list, taking my family to Africa. A few years ago,
Awesome.
I took my whole family for Christmas to Italy. I have a client that owns a winery in Florence. We're in Saint Germain, which is outside of Florence. And I was able to take my all my brothers, my sister, my
Oh,
mom and
cool.
her husband, my wife, and I'll pay for it for 2 weeks to Italy. That was fun. So yeah, so I think I want to do like a family vacation where I pay for everybody to come out to Africa and yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. Favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Ooh. Now my wife says I'm a worker because I'm a workaholic. So my winding down, so I have my house, and then like in our bedroom we have like a patio that kind of oversees, our yard. So I go on our bedroom patio and I watch YouTube, and I watch like just informational YouTube stuff like words of affirmation, how to decrease people's taxes. I want to learn from those other tax strategies, what they're doing to kind of help better myself. Um, that's what I do. Like, that's my way to wind down, like watching YouTube and finding ways to add value.
You're a
I'm a simple
true
man.
entrepreneur. When somebody asks you how do you relax, I go to work.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Nothing wrong with
yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
Because when your work
yeah,
becomes your enjoyment and your passion, then you're really not working, you know? So I
yeah,
totally see
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And it feels your soul too. Like I'm like when you learn something that you can apply and help people, like it does something to you. So yeah.
yeah, no, that's great. Now, listen, if you were in a financial advisor, you weren't doing financial planning, what would you be doing?
Ooh, that is a good question. Uh, oh man, I think you stumped me, Daniel. If I was not a financial, I would some type of coaching. So like if I was in, so for instance, if I would have stayed with General Electric and I would have climbed the corporate ladder, it would have been a time where I'd eventually became a business consultant to show people and coach people how to climb the corporate ladder. Like Michael Jordan. I know y'all are Kobe Bryant fans and LeBron James fans. I guess it's my age. I'm more of a Michael Jordan fan, right? But like Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, he had a coach. Tom Brady, the greatest football player of all time, he had a coach. So coaching
Yeah,
goes a long way of helping you grow personally and professionally. So I think I would have done some type of coaching
coaching.
related to my corporate job that I had.
Yeah, I'm partly, listen, you're already doing part of that. So you're already partly doing that in the job that you have, because when I look at advisors, sometimes you're a coach, sometimes you're a family therapist. It kind of carries a lot of different hats when you're doing that. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's great. Listen, now the big one that I always ask, let's say that, you're at the end of your life. Everyone you have ever have helped has completely forgotten everything that you have ever taught them, but you get to leave them with one final message that they'll remember forever. What's that message?
Ooh. Um, be positive, help others, and lead in with value.
That's great. Listen, great
Yes, sir.
conversation, Mario. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your insights, and really your heart. Now, what is the best way for someone to reach out to you if they want to get in touch?
Yeah, a few ways. So my Instagram and my YouTube is the same. It's at Painful Profits. My last name, Payne, Payne, So Painful Profits, Profits. Because we make money, sometimes it can be painful, but we still made those profits. So at Painful Profits, or of course you go to our website if you're old school, www.tomesfinancial, TOAMS, financial.com, or the coaching and tax side, the Relax Investor. So the THE relax RELAX investor.com. All my information, you can find me those 3 ways, and we're definitely here to help you grow.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Hey, listen, if you're listening, make sure you check out Mario's work. Mario, thank you for your time today. And to our listeners, remember, making life less taxing isn't just about money. It's about freedom, clarity, and purpose. Keep building wealth, keep protecting your legacy, and keep living the untaxable lifestyle. We'll see you next time on our next Make Life Less Taxing podcast episode. Thank you again, Mario.
Pleasure's all mine.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Make Life Less Taxing podcast. Be sure to check out our other top advisor interviews at makelifilesstaxingpodcast.com,